चरण, हेलो, वेलकम, थैंक यू सो मच।
हाय।
आप सुबह सुबह उठ गए, बहुत अच्छा लगा।
आप सुबह सुबह उठ गए? यहाँ सिंगापुर में तो दोपहर होती है।
दैट इज करेक्ट, दैट इज
या
करेक्ट, बट
इट्स
थैंक यू, इट विल बी गुड फन। हाँ, आई वाज जस्ट गोइंग टू से थैंक यू फॉर योर टाइम। बड़ा मजा आएगा आज। हमारे पॉडकास्ट के 3 सेक्शन है। एक आपके पास्ट एंड प्रेजेंट करियर के बारे में, ओनली करियर, और कुछ बातें नहीं होंगी, ठीक है ना? ध्यान से रहना है।
ओके,
रिकॉर्डिंग हो रही है,
राइट, आई विल बी केयरफुल।
आई नो। सेकंड इज अबाउट एक्सप्लेनिंग कि आपका काम, एक अगर आपको आम बेचना होता तो क्या करते। एंड देन थर्ड वन इज अबाउट पैसा, ठीक है?
All a bit broad, but okay,
हाँ,
let's start.
करेक्ट, ब्रॉड ही होना चाहिए।
हाँ, ज्यादा
सो
स्पेसिफिक नहीं होना चाहिए। हाँ,
ज्यादा स्पेसिफिक नहीं होना चाहिए। तो पहला है सेक्शन हमारा करियर। सो करियर का एएसएल। तो जरा बताएं अपना टाइटल, लोकेशन और कंपनी आपकी क्या करती है।
right. So I am a managing director of a company which is a ship owning company. So we own ships which carry cargoes, not passengers, not a cruise liner, but these are cargo carrying ships. And the company is a listed company, and we have about 15 ships that we own.
वाह,
We manage them and we trade them. Um, and I'm based out of Singapore. So you can call it shipping business, but when often you tell people that you're in shipping business, they think you're a freight forwarder or somebody who's doing packaging and moving for people or working for Amazon or something like that. I often get calls from friends saying that मुझे एक suitcase India भेजा. Can you help me?
तो ऐसे
And
कार्गो में डाल नहीं सकते?
unfortunately, I can't because the kind of ships we own. So ships come in various types and sizes. And the kind of ships that our company owns are what we call Cape-size dry bulk carriers. These are huge, big, humongous ships carrying iron ore from various ore mining countries like Australia, Brazil, into China. So one shipment on one voyage is just, say, 180,000 or 150,000 tons of iron ore.
Iron ore.
Just iron ore. It's just matti
That's it.
coming out of the ground. The iron content in it, which will go to a steel mill in China, and they will
Refine it.
melt it and refine it and get steel out of it. So that's one kind of ships we have. We have some ships that carry grain, again, big bulk carriers. They carry grain from grain producing countries like South America, US, into China or other places. Then we have some VLCCs, which is very large crude carriers, which carry crude oil from, again, crude producing countries like Persian Gulf or US Gulf to China or Japan, wherever, or India, wherever there is a demand for crude oil for further refining into products. So you can say our ships carry commodities and not finished goods. Then there are ships out there which carry finished goods, and they tend to go in container ships. So you might have seen the big containers.
Correct.
So those tend to carry your computers, TVs, your T-shirts from China to Europe, wherever they're being sold. So those are different kind of ships. That would come more sort of bordering on logistics because Amazon is basically a logistics company, right? They make sure things reach you within 48 hours and stuff like that. So they would have some interaction with the container traffic, but yeah, ours is purely commodity. We are in the commodity supply chain.
तो आपके दोस्तों के ब्याह पे इतनी बड़ी शिप में एक सूटकेस तो रख ही सकता है कोई आदमी?
अगर वो इंडिया जा रहा होता तो
That is also fair. That is also fair.
हाँ.
तो ये बताइए शुरुआत कैसे हुई?
So शुरुआत ऐसे हुई that I cleared school. By school I mean what we call 12th standard in India in 1988, and I didn't do very well. I was never the brightest student, nor was I the worst student. I was somewhere in the middle of the class, middle to front kind of. अभी मैं थोड़े number
हाँ, बढ़ा दो ना, इन्फ्लेशन हो रहा है ना आजकल.
Exactly. So basically, I didn't have enough scores in. I had taken science subjects, physics, chemistry, maths, and I didn't have enough scores to get into engineering, which is what my parents wanted me to do.
Okay.
So my next best option was, so my mama, my mother's brother, was already working in a ship management company in Hong Kong. And so basically through his influence, I could get into that company in their deck cadet program. So basically join their ships as a deck cadet, which is a training officer, work as a cadet on different kind of ships for 3 years before you then come back on land, and then you sit for a set of exams to become an officer. And then you work your way up to be a captain by doing different exams at different stages. And then you finally become a captain of a ship. So I chose that career because I did not have enough score in my 12th standard to become an engineer or get into an engineering college. And I was quite bored of studying in schools and colleges by then. And and I was only 17 and a half when I finished my 12th standard. So this was, for a young kid, young mind at that time, was almost liberation, getting out of house, getting out of parental influence, and going out there, making a small bit of money, seeing the world. Mind you, this is pre-internet era, 1988. So at that time, I hadn't been out of India. I was born and brought up in India. So for me, the attraction of traveling around the world for free and being paid for it as I worked along was big enough to say, hell with engineering, let's go into this. So that's how I landed on ship. Then after sailing and for a few years, becoming an officer, seeing where my career path was going, which was towards becoming a captain of a ship in 10 years' time. So I didn't find that particularly attractive. In that it wasn't what I saw myself being happy doing in 20, 30 years from that point in time. So I decided the interest was more in the business behind the work I was doing on board. So I was a small fry on the ship. Captain was the boss, and we were moving cargo from A to B. But it always intrigued me that who is it who owns this ship, and what is the kind of money he is making, he or she, and how are they making money out of it, and whose cargo is it? Why is it going from A to B and not A to B? So the business questions came to my mind because perhaps I came from a business family, and people on board didn't have the answers to it. Because they themselves were. So the jobs on board are skill based. You every exam you set, you get a new skill set. You become a senior ranking officer, and so on and so forth till you become a captain. Whereas on shore, it's a lot of soft skills and not hard skills that are needed. So I started doing my research through libraries, books, and stuff like that. Like I said earlier, there was no internet. What alternate offshoot career can I have from shipping? And I came across a term called shipbroking.
Okay.
So I wanted to be. So basically, between every ship and a cargo that you want to move, there's a broker in the middle who gets the deal done. Like pretty much in real estate, you have a broker involved.
Correct.
Similarly, for buying and selling a ship, also there's a broker. So I came across this profession, and I did some more research. In UK, there is something called the Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers. Like in India, we've all heard of chartered accountants as we were growing up. In the UK, there's chartered everything. There's chartered engineers, there's chartered doctors. So there's shipbrokers. So I wrote to chartered shipbrokers, and gave them what my background is, and they said, "Yeah, you can sit for our exams and become a chartered shipbroker." So I decided to sit for the exams and study for them on board ship while I was working. Sat for the exams, did well. They offered me a scholarship to come to London and do a master's degree in shipping business. So that's what I did, and after I did that. I got a job in London with a Greek shipping family business. By shipping family, I mean a ship owning family. And I then joined them. This was in 97, 1997, and 96, I think I joined them, and I stayed with them till about 2012. So yeah, almost 16 years or
Wow.
so. Or yeah, that so and stayed with them, and you're learning different aspects of shipping business, doing work mainly in the commercial operations segment. And then a friend of mine who had a similar career background in that he was a sailor in the same company like I was, but he had a different career trajectory. He and he decided to raise finance and start his own ship owning business.
Oh,
So
wow.
he asked me if I'd like to join him, and I said yes. And so he raised the capital through private equity in New York. And that prompted a move from London to Singapore because we came to Singapore to set up the ship owning business. So we set up that business in 2013, end of 2013, and we had about 14 ships in 6 months, which is quite a growth from 0 to 14 ships. And then the markets turned down on us. So shipping business that we are in, which is commodity transportation, dry bulk, they are subject to market forces, demand, supply, geopolitical events, economic events. So they can be high, they can be low. At that time, the world was just coming out of the GFC, the Great Financial Crisis of 2008, post Lehman Brothers. Markets were down. Our pitch to our investors was, look, the markets are down, the asset values are down. अब इससे ज़्यादा नीचे क्या जाएगा, इससे ज़्यादा ऊपर ही जाएगा. Let's buy ships now, and things will look good in the future. Unfortunately, God had other plans. The market further nosedived after we bought ships. The market further nosedived from 2014 all the way up to 2016, 17. So the investors kind of, decided to give up on us, and so we were asked to leave the company we created, and they took back the company's control. And so then I stayed back in Singapore because my daughter was going to school here, and I got a job with a German ship manager. Did that for about 4 or 5 years, and that got sold. And then I think I did a small stint with somebody as a consultant, and then I finally landed up in this role with this company. So that's been my sort of career story, if you like, in a short while.
That is very interesting.
35 years.
Wow. And I guess you are enjoying it still.
Yes, I do, because I find the business of ship owning very fascinating. It has it's multi-dimensional aspect to it. It's for example, what's happening in Ukraine, Russia has an effect on us. What's happening in what Trump decides to do with tariffs has an effect on us. What's happening in the So you need to keep your eyes and ears open around you to what's happening around the globe, because that will then have an economic impact on people's lives, which will then have an impact on how much they consume, which then has a downstream effect on how much commodities are needed. So, for example, like I said, our ships carry iron ore, which is used to make steel. Steel is a core commodity product that's needed for all developmental activities, construction, be it houses, buildings, roads, dams, whatever. So if the world is economically growing, countries tend to spend on developmental activities, which require steel. So therefore, the downstream demand for iron ore is going to go up, which means the demand for our freighting services is going to go up. Similarly, like these days, you hear news about Chinese growth slowing down, which has an impact on how much steel they'll be making, which has an impact on. Same thing for grain, same thing for crude oil. If China is going to go all EV, then maybe they don't need that much crude oil. But again, then they have an export market. So will they still buy as much crude oil as much they used to? So, you're looking at the world as a whole, people's changing habits, lifestyles as a whole, and then crystallizing it down to what effect does it have on my business. So it keeps it interesting and fascinating and fun.
So आपने कहा कि आपके फैमिली में आपको इंजीनियर बनाना चाहते थे, नंबर नहीं आए, so you couldn't become. अगर आते तो would you still want to do it?
No, because I had heard that नंबर आना एक बात है, एडमिशन होना एक बात है, उसके बाद भी बहुत पढ़ाई पड़ती है to become an engineer, and I was quite bored of the structured education, पढ़ाई लिखाई for the want of a better. At least the way I had experienced it in school and college, I didn't find it inspiring. I found it quite a drudge. So I did not want to put myself through it. So I decided to. So no, even if I had gotten into engineering, I'm just thinking maybe by parental pressure, I would have maybe passed it. I don't know what would have happened. It's maybe in a parallel life in another universe it has happened.
Correct.
And I just don't know about it. Yeah.
We'll करेंगे हम लोग प्ले इसके बारे में भी.
Well,
क्यों नहीं?
क्रिस्टोफर नोलन से पूछना.
हाँ बिल्कुल.
उस चरण सिंह का क्या हो रहा है?
उसी को पता होगा एक्चुअली. That is completely fair. तो अब हम लोग अपने अगले सिंपल सा सेक्शन में जाएंगे, which is called आम बात. So इसमें Charan, you have to explain if there is a world which is only mango buyers and sellers and that's about it. आपका क्या रोल है दुनिया में?
So if there are mango buyers and sellers, my role, as in my professional role, well, my ideal role will be that of a mango eater.
हाँ, वो तो मैं समझ गया.
Because मुझे आम खाने से मतलब है, पेड़ गिरने से नहीं.
Correct.
So moving away from that, I think it's basically the supply chain, right? So you're growing mangoes in a farm somewhere. So you are the producer of the mangoes. Now you need to sell it somewhere, and that mangoes as a cargo needs to move. Now, in a land-based requirement like that, it'll move on a truck, right? The truck will go to the farm, load itself, and then go to a destination, to a mandi, maybe where it goes on to a bigger truck, and then to a bigger truck, and then eventually it goes into boxes and goes onto an airplane and reaches you in UK and me in Singapore. So it's that in-between supply chain, which we enable. Mangoes per se do not travel on ships because they need to travel by air because of their short.
खराब हो जाएंगे.
हाँ, खराब हो जाएंगे, and sea journey tends to take a long time. Fun fact, I think about 95% of world trade, or at least in the 90s, I don't know the exact figure, is done by sea. So most of the trade of commodities, cargoes, food inclusive, is done by sea. But mangoes, I think, is a quickly perishable item. So it may not move by sea. Might be moving, I don't know. But a lot of fruit does. Like there are ships which are just banana carriers. There are because banana is largely, grown in South America in a large scale, and it moves to America, Europe, in refrigerated ships. The whole ship is refrigerated. Banana needs to be carried at a particular temperature over a voyage. So that's where we come in. We move cargoes.
Nice. और कमेंट सेक्शन में लोग लिखें कि ऐसे फ्रूट का फोटो डालें और चरण बताएगा आपको ये फ्रूट कहाँ से आया, किस शिप में आया. दिस इज ग्रेट गेम.
जरूर बताएगा गूगल करके.
तो चैट जीपीटी आ गया है. एक्चुअली उससे क्वेश्चन एआई, हाँ दैट इज ट्रू. एआई एक्सेट्रा का आप पे इम्पैक्ट कैसा होगा?
Well, AI will probably come up with tools which makes our work processes different and maybe more efficient in the future. AI is already being used for a lot of shipboard efficiency measurement, analysis, and things like that. Because like all industries, shipping is also under regulatory pressure to decarbonize and digitalize, make itself more efficient. So I think there is a role for AI to play in there. But AI per se cannot move 150,000 tons of iron ore from Brazil. Right? It may, in the long run, help design more efficient ships, maybe, in whatever, I have no idea. But ships will always be needed. As long as the world as we know it continues to remain the way as we know it, which is trade is essential for the world's survival. We do not have everything in one place. Things have to move across the globe. Yeah. So as long as that demand is there, ships will be there. AI might make the process more efficient, but ships will still be needed.
Fair. और एक और इसमें होता है जनरल थॉट अबाउट बचपन का सपना. सो कई लोगों को हीरो बनना होता है, कई लोगों को क्रिकेटर बनना होता है. हीरो था बचपन का सपना?
Hero तो नहीं. I think, as you know, I have a passion for acting. Acting का तो so more theater acting than hero बनना, to be very honest. But yeah, that was a bachpan ka sapna that got realized in London along with you. Yes. You were there when it got realized the first time when I went on stage, and that was you suddenly step on in that, and this is where your soul belongs, kind of a thing. It was magical. Yeah, I'm glad I got to do it.
And so are we. For audience, हम इनको हमारे गरीब अमिताभ बच्चन बुलाते हैं because इनकी आवाज का दम हमेशा यूज होता है. अगर इनका एक्टिंग रोल नहीं मिलता है तो हम इनको साउंड क्लिप रिकॉर्ड करवा के बजवा देते हैं कि प्लीज कीप योर फोन्स इन द बैग. That is very important data. And obviously, when it comes to acting and theater acting in particular, the flip side of that is पैसा. So, financial advice क्या देते हैं आप अपने younger self को?
So, I think I would say two things, right? When I was young, I didn't aspire for much money, right? I wanted to pursue acting, and I wish I was encouraged for that. I wasn't. I was discouraged, and told to do something more useful like engineering. Or if you can't do engineering, then you might as well go out to sea and become a tech officer. But I think my advice to my younger self would be pursue your passion. Because I think a life which is lived with passion, pursuing your passion will lead to some amount of fulfillment without money as well. It was much later that I came across money, and I realized there is money in this business that I'm doing, and I got the taste of it, and then I wanted more of it and more of it, and then started developing a passion for furthering my career in shipping business. And God has been kind that I achieved what I set out to do in this field, and it's been fun. I enjoy it. I make money, and on the money side, my advice to my younger self would be that in the younger years, when you're making money, invest a fair amount of it. In our time, what my wife Namita and I did was that we were too busy enjoying with whatever we were earning. So we didn't make ourselves a big savings portfolio or investments portfolio of X, Y, and Z investments. We still are, to be very honest, more living in the moment.
अभी भी पार्टियां हो रही हैं, yes sir.
हाँ, अभी भी पार्टियां हो रही हैं, अभी भी life king size जी जा रही है.
That is true.
And with not much thought about future. But when I look around, sensible people like you, I'm very happy to see youngsters who have invested a part of their earnings into something. And it could be whatever. It could be shares, it could be funds, it could be property, it could be whatever. But a certain amount should be invested. And I think if you do that from your first job days, which let's say on an average, people start earning, let's say, around 25, right? I reasonably think that with reasonable kind of average returns, one would build up a fair bit of a cushion or a nest that you could retire by the time you're 50 or even 55, right? Which is not possible if you haven't saved and haven't invested. Then you need to keep working and working. And if you're in a job or in a profession where you're having so much fun that even if there is a cushion or a nest that you've made because of your investments, and you are able to then, you still enjoy getting up in the morning and going to work, then it doesn't matter that you have that money, because you're going to work for fun and not to make a living. But if you are in a profession where you're not really having fun, or in a company that you're not enjoying working for, or whatever, then if you have that cushion or a nest of 25 years of savings invested, and they would have grown, then you can take a career break, you can switch careers, you can find your passion, you can go do something else, you can live off your investments for a while, and so on and so forth. So that would be my advice to my younger self.
वाह, वेरी नाइस। इसमें से मैंने बस ये सुना कि आपने मुझे सेंसिबल बोला और ये रिकॉर्डेड है, तो मेरा
On
जीवन
record,
धन्य
sir.
हो गया।
You are my idol.
कैसे
Role
कैसे
model,
झूठ
आप
बोल
हमारे
कैसे कैसे
role
झूठ बोल
model,
लेते हैं लोग।
accurate.
आई नो दैट इज ट्रू, आई कैन सी। अच्छा करेंगे आप में करियर
Conviction.
पॉसिबिलिटी है, लग रहा है मुझे।
देखो, ये फूल दे दो भाई।
और पे से रिलेटेड एक और काइंड ऑफ क्लासिक होता है कि फर्स्ट पे चेक, आई नो, माँ के लिए साड़ी एंड व्हाटएवर एल्स इज द
Nothing of
स्टीरियोटाइपिकल
the
आर्गुमेंट।
sort. No. Market Sadi nahi thi. I was on ship, as I said. I
यस
joined as a deck cadet. I was 17 and a half years old. I was a deck cadet, and I joined the ship in Hong Kong. This was a container ship moving finished goods around Far Eastern Europe. And so by the time I got my first paycheck, which was I think $250 for a month, was my salary.
big number.
Yes, that time it was, believe it or not, because my friends who did to $250 at that time in India translated, I think dollar was at 60 or maybe less, maybe less. But whatever it was, I think it translated to something like I think about 10,000 rupees a month, something like that, which those who were doing engineering and coming out were not getting.
Yeah, correct.
So I was like, I'm already better off than my friends who did engineering. So I'm making $250 a month, which is a little less than $10 a day.
Yeah.
That felt like rich.
Yeah.
And so the ship reached Rotterdam, and I got, just before the ship reaching Rotterdam in Netherlands, I got my first paycheck. As in, I got cash, literally. Had that money in hand, and everybody from the ship went to this store, which is a duty-free store for seafarers. वहां पे नवी उन दिनों में लेट 80s में सीडी निकली थी. सो सीडी निकली थी, तो सोनी का डिस्कमैन आया था. हाँ, करेक्ट. Where you could play CDs and you could listen to music in your earphones. And I was always into listening to music, still am, and I bought that as with my first paycheck. So I think nothing too fancy or too emotional.
No.
Like Maggie.
No, that's fine. And again, this is one of the reasons of doing this podcast, is to just some people do it, some people don't do it, and that's okay. But Discman is pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Discman. And of course, I was on ship for 1 year. So with the subsequent paychecks, I did buy something for my mother, did buy something for my sister, did buy a bottle of whiskey for my father. So all that happened, but not with the first paycheck. First paycheck was I wanted to listen to music.
Fair.
And mind you, music was also Discman तो ले लिया था, लेकिन उसके अंदर CDs इतना बजट था कि 1-2 CDs ही ले सका. So I made sure that the Discman that I bought had a FM radio in it as well.
So you can listen to
so
FM.
At least when the ship was in port, like it was there in Rotterdam when I bought, then I wasn't limited to listening to just the discs. I could also listen to the local radio station, FM radio station. So that brought music and some fun in life, kind of a thing.
वाह, very nice. That's it. मेरे सवाल हो गए.
Oh,
that's it. Simple. नहीं, हाँ, आपको कोई सवाल पूछना है पूछ सकते हैं.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.